You know, after the last couple of years, it's just so crazy that black is one of, if not the best color in Legacy right now. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today we're going to be jamming the One Ring into some mono black decks. The One Ring is proving itself easily in many formats as being just an incredible source of both protection and card advantage stapled in one. And specifically within a mono black shell, we have some things like Dark Ritual that help us accelerate into it, as well as Shouldered the Apocalypse, which ultimately is going to make the One Ring gain you life instead of losing life, which is honestly pretty cool. When it comes to Legacy decks right now and like black cards, I think the like Grief, Reanimate, Troll of Khazad-dum package is the primary thing that people are going to be thinking about. But our deck list today isn't actually going to be running that package, and we'll see whether or not we feel like that's a good idea or a bad idea come the end of this league. Now, today's video is sponsored by moxfield.com as well as Cool Stuff Inc. And remember, if you need paper magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. So, this is Benjamin's Mono Black Helm deck list today. And we're going to be doing that whole Leyline of the Void, Helm of Obedience combo to mill our opponents out, which also works with Dauthi Voidwalker. And the supporting cast for this deck is a bunch of discard as well as a decent amount of spot removal between Shoulder's Edict and Orcish Bowmasters, which, you know, kind of does everything you need a card to do in Magic. We are going to be heavy on basic lands in this deck list. We're going for stability here rather than raw power by adding in something extra like Urza Saga, although we are going to play some Wastelands in the sideboard of this build. By giving up the Grief Reanimate Troll package, we are going to lose out on some discard speed. Like, Grief can come down on turn 1. Him usually doesn't come down on turn 1. And you can steal games with Grief pretty frequently. But, you know, Hymn to Turok as a combo, like Dark Ritual Thoughtseize Hymn to Turok, is still just always going to be gross, no matter what time period you're in. Like, it just feels good when it works. The sideboard features more removal in various forms for our fair matchups, as well as a handful of things such as Torpor Orb for unfair matchups, and this is specifically targeted at Thassa's Oracle, if I were to guess. I think with that being said, let's just get in there. Let's battle. I think mono black in Legacy is quite good right now, and it's just a question, what is the build supposed to look like? And if you have thoughts, throw it down in the comments below. Alright, I have kept my opening hand here. It's very good if I end up getting another swamp, and there's a whole bunch of them in the deck, so I do expect that to happen some portion of the time. We are going to probably ignore Force of Negation here. The creatures that I care about. I think I'm going to take a Ponder and call that good. The hope is that my opponent thinks, well, that my opponent ends up using a Ponder on their own turn, and then I can catch them with Orcish Bowmasters. Nice, this is what I wanted. So I'll end up doing a sorcery speed Orcish Bowmasters so that my opponent can't later brainstorm in response. Profitably, that is. Maybe we'll actually amass some extra orcs this game, huh? That'd be kind of cool. So again, we do really need a second black source for this hand to be fully functional, but hopefully it ends up being fine. It would be kind of humorous to draw another Ancient Tomb. Alright, so there technically could be something like a Snapcaster Mage on the other side of the battlefield that my opponent could flash in. Very cool deck. But we will just be battling here. We'll see what happens. Alright, opponent takes the damage. I unfortunately don't have a good follow-up play. Thoughtseize into Bowmasters is good enough that I thought the hand was a keep. We'll see if it still ends up feeling good after a couple more turns. Alright, no immediate Swords to Plowshare. Never mind. Sure. That's really awkward for me if I don't end up drawing another black source. Eh. I mean, I'm casting it. My opponent can brainstorm in response and take their best thing. I'm not in love with all this here. I think I have to take the Force of Negation so that I actually have a way to clear the Uro out with Shoulder's Edict. I don't really like that, though. I think that's where I'm at. I am on like 17 swamps or something crazy like that, right? Plus Dark Rituals. Yeah, I think mathematically speaking, the hand was easily a keep. But sometimes this happens. Fucking come on. Stop. Give me a land. Let me play my Dauthi Voidwalkers. The fuck off, Force of Will. Yeah, just can't have protected Uro. It's illegal. So this is now the blue, blue, green, green needed for Uro. Yeah, it's happening. The Shoulder's Edict won't take it out forever, but hopefully I can do something with like Dauthi Voidwalkers and Shoulder's Edict. Or, and hear me out, we could not. We'll go ahead and junk the Uro. It honestly could just immediately come back, like it is possible. Fourth Aerlingas is also something that I need to have on my radar here. I just have no agency against it right now, though. Okay, there's a fetch in there to get one more mana. Sure. Yeah, so what was that? 5 draws, 21 hits? And we just whiffed on all of them. I think I have no outs to that. I'm going to tap my Ancient Tomb and kill myself. GG. So what do we like here? Turok is kind of a sticky body that I might end up wanting to play. Edicts are reasonable versus Uros. Snuff outs are reasonable versus Uros. Kissing Needle's okay versus Planeswalkers. I might end up boarding these in. I'm maybe not the biggest fan of discard in this matchup. Like, the Thoughtseizes very clearly aren't winning me the game versus Uros and 4th Aerlingas. Especially with Mystic Sanctuary to go and bring them back later. Maybe I don't play him. Like, I keep Thoughtseize to surgically take the most important stuff. Go heavier on lands, treating this like a spell that stops Uro. Or large 4th Aerlingas. I think I like that. It's fine. It's not any better than fine. I am not planning on casting Orcish Bowmasters immediately. I would prefer not to use my Dark Ritual on Orcish Bowmasters when I just have so many 4-drops in hand. But if my opponent fires off a cantrip on turn 1 at like sorcery speed, we'll talk. Land pass. That is just a Savannah. We're gonna just hold up Bowmasters here. With my plan being potentially cast an Orcish Bowmasters end of turn into Shouldered. Although I can honestly just like wait here and just make life awkward for my opponent. I think I'm good with that. Yeah, I think we're just gonna stare at each other for a few. I'm very happy about this draw. Okay, sure. Delighted Halfling is fine. I think for mana efficiency purposes, I do just fire this off now. Okay, sure. Alright, so how do I want to do this? I could just Edict this and attack in for 2. I have so many 4-drops in my hand right now. Like, it is legitimately awkward. I think I'm going to go ahead and cast a Dark Ritual. If it gets countered, I have some decent lines. If it doesn't get countered, cool. And we're going to diversify permanent types here. That is a Force of Negation. We're good with that. I can try again a little bit later. Sure. I guess it's a little weird to see Delighted Halfling alongside Terminus. Sure. We're still hurting for mana even after boarding in a couple of extra lands. Maybe this deck needs Chrome Mox. This is rough. Like, my Edict isn't going to clear it out and let me take the Monarch. So my opponent's just going to get to draw a bunch of cards, and I can't cast any of my 4-drops as of right now. Okay, now I can. I think the plan is cast Sheoldred and make the Monarch stuff sting more if my opponent doesn't have a spot removal spell. That sounds good to me. But I think if my opponent has, like, Force of Will to go and back up this current situation, or has another spot removal spell, I'm just going to fall behind. Is it just another one? Oh, it is a prismatic ending for 4. F. This is actually okay for me. I can Sheoldred's Edict and take out the Delighted Halfling and become the Monarch. I guess it'd be really cool if I drew Dark Ritual. I did not. I think I just need to do this, and is it better to play Helm and try to immediately steal a Helm win? I don't think so. I think I do this as Fog. It's worth just a whole bunch of life. I've got another land drop, and I can work towards Helm plus something else. It's some other big card. Okay, it's their own copy of the One Ring. Delighted Halfling is kind of the tell for that. And a Brainstorm, probably just to be fired off, not in the face of like a Sheoldred or Orcish Bowmasters. Now I still do get cards for Monarch. Monarch plus the One Ring is just so much card advantage. Alright, draw 2. If there's no counterspells, I can theoretically win this turn. A little awkward. I have to commit to Ancient Tomb. So I will Helm. And we're going for it, because I'm scared. F. So life is currently bad, because I'm about to take 5 damage. Well, yeah, I'm probably about to take 5 damage. And I'm about to take 2 from the One Ring, which is 7. It's not dead, but my Ancient Tomb probably doesn't do anything. And my opponent has just so many draws here to find ways to kill me. See if it happens. But like if this just eats like a prismatic ending. Okay, they're going for Force of Will. Another 4th Aerlingas. So there's going to be 6 things getting through, which is 12 damage. In order to have any chance at living, I need to do this. I wonder what it was. Yeah, and then I am dead to a lethal attack here. We did not cast spells on curve this game. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I personally keep all of my deck lists for every format on this site. I love that I can go and sort them by types and tags if I need to. There's a lot of different viewing options. It can give you some math about your mana symbol, your curve, and you can even playtest and do sample opening hands with it. Check this site out if you haven't before. It's awesome. Okay, I'm going to start with a Leyline in play. I am going to keep this hand. I can Goldfish on turn 2 if I feel like that is a thing that I want to do. I might just Dark Ritual and Hymn to Turok my opponent on turn 1, though, and intend on winning the game a little bit slower than that. The old Hymn to Turok on turn 1 is still horrifying. And, see what we can do. Brainstorm and Lightning Bolt. We didn't hit land for kind of the free cheese win, but hopefully we've taken a key piece of selection. And if Helm resolves later, that would be cool. I am 100% okay with the Dauthi Voidwalker getting dazed, so I will play that here. Game is not about Dauthi Voidwalker. This game is about Helm combo, but my opponent may or may not know that at this stage. Opening on Leyline versus Delver is pretty cool. My opponent did not attack, which is super weird. This has Shadow. So that attack was free, as I cannot block, and they cannot block. Opponent goes to 17. I'm going to go ahead and Thoughtseize now. We're going to do a Force of Will and Wasteland check here. Getting a response. Brainstorm is fine. They've capped whatever they surveilled on top. There is a wasteland. I will be taking the Force of Will here. So I played the Thoughtseize as a Force of Will check so that I would know, or sorry, as a wasteland check to know whether or not I could play out Ancient Tomb safely this turn, and the answer is no, I can't. But on my own turn, that's fine. On my own turn, I can just play Ancient Tomb, Helm, and then activate it the following turn, and I know that my opponent does not have Force of Will right now. Like, their last card is Nimble Mongoose. So, unless some batshit crazy stuff that I'm not thinking of happens, I think this one is deterministically won in my favor. Yep. Bam. Helm. Man, I'm going to take 3 damage on their turn, 6 if they have a Lightning Bolt. There's probably not a main deck answer to a Helm. I guess there could be a one of Brazen Borrower or something like that. But that is not expected. All right, so we'll go ahead and pass the turn, and then in their upkeep, I will Helm them. Guess I'll activate for 2. I guess it could be Stifle. That buys a turn. Okay, we have a little bit more removal we can play. We can play Sudden Edict. Snuff Out's probably good enough. Plague Engineer is fine. Deluge is fine. I will consider Wasteland and Pithing Needle. I don't know that I'm excited about them. I don't think I'm excited about the discard. I think I am more interested in playing to the board, removing my opponent's creatures, and then eventually riding 4 drops to victory. And I'm going to think about these cards from here. Opposition Agent is really slow for this matchup, but it is something that evenly trades with Nimble Mongoose. So there's that. I think on the draw, I'm not interested in Opposition Agent. I guess if I literally just have the Ancient Tombs and the Wastelands as wastelandable targets, Pithing Needle's not that good, and I should just keep one of these. That seems fine. My opponent's deck is relatively soft to Leyline. I am not interested in this hand. This just has 6 mana sources, nothing to do with them. I need a secondary black source, or alternatively something to do with my mana. I would call this hand unexciting, but probably a keep. I might end up just wastelanding my opponent's first land if they fetch on their own turn, just to slow them down. We'll see, though. Shouldered. No, I think I'm just going to Sudden Edict my opponent next turn. Yeah, these cantrips are a lot less threatening when they are not surveilling into 3/3s and creating 3/3 shroudy boys. Ooh, if there's no other land drop, I might change my mind regarding Wasteland. No, there's not. But that's a 4-drop that I would like to cast. Okay. All right. Wasteland pass. I will Sudden Edict my opponent and then play the One Ring. Edict you. This is all good. Okay. This is not resolving, but I can do this 2 turns in a row, so I don't mind that it's not resolving. Oh, hell yeah. It's even a Force of Will and not just a Daze. That's great. Okay. Yeah, no lands. Ye old Brainstorm lock. This one eats Force of Negation. This one doesn't. I think that is a reason to go for Shouldered here specifically. It is a Force of Will. That's fine. I'm just going to not, because I just want to cast the One Ring around Daze. Yes. That is acceptable. Okay, Leyline's not the best draw. So we will play the One Ring. Nice. Get protection from everything. Start drawing some cards. And I'm primarily going and looking for a Helm to just end this game. Do I Wasteland? It actually grows Tarmogoyf if I do. I think I will, though. Let's keep another one of those from hitting play. Okay, cool. Cast into the fire? Yeah, I lost my ring. That's definitely scary. Opponent attacked anyway, even though I had protection there. This is a very good draw. Sacrifice a non-token creature. We'll go ahead and get rid of that Tarmogoyf. And then drop a Dauthi Voidwalker. My life total is lower than my opponent's, and I'm not necessarily going to say that I have control of the game, but I'm in a pretty okay position. That's fine. Drawing the extra ley lines is not so much fine. I'm not going to cast that. And we'll just zoom on in. Note, no counters on these cards due to Leyline of the Void. I'm going to lose Ancient. Well, wonder if my opponent will make me lose Ancient Tomb. Alright, I don't have anything to punish that attack. Okay. I'll ship in with Dauthi Voidwalker. I'm not sure at what speed I am supposed to play Orcish Bowmasters. I think I do it in the upkeep, not give my opponent extra draws here. And I do just want to ping that as soon as possible. More for the Surveil than the 1/1 body. I don't care about the 1/1 body. Alright, and my opponent is done with me. GG. Okay, so I don't have black mana with this hand. So that one goes back easy. So the question is, like, on which turn am I playing Sheoldred and him? It's going to be turn 1 him into turn 3 Sheoldred? Like, it's always a keep. And a swamp is always going back. It's just a little harder from there. Like, I could turn 2 Sheoldred, but I think turn 1 him steals more games than turn 2 Sheoldred does. Let's see. Alright, my opponent is playing Sneak and Show, from the looks of it. Oh, that was their one land. Ooh. So they presumably have Lotus Petal, Show and Tell, and something big and dumb in hand. Alright. Turn 3 Sheoldred, let's go. Yeah, I think I do Sheoldred over Dauthi Voidwalker here. Dauthi Voidwalker gives me an out to have a combo kill next turn, but Sheoldred is just 6 damage a turn as opposed to Dauthi's 3 damage a turn. Like, this is going to add up so quickly. Alright, we are playing Magic again. It is Magic that is going to hurt my opponent. Like, it is gonna sting. The cantrips are, like, very scary with a Sheoldred around. Alright. I will crash in for 4. Bring my opponent to 12. Cast a Dauthi Voidwalker. My opponent's tapped out. I'm just resolving this while I think they don't have anything. Alright, hit them. Alright, they are at 11, which is effectively 9 because of the Sheoldred draw. And cantrips are horrifying at this stage. Let's see if my opponent can do something very broken. Atraxa does not draw cards. Alright, they took Volcanic Island, Show and Tell, which means that's gone. Did they take Brainstorm? Sneak attack. Oh, they just did not take an instant? Yeah, they did not take an instant. Okay. So what's over here? Okay, so I can force an Atraxa block if I attack with Sheoldred. This is awkward. Like, I can trade Sheoldred. My opponent gains 7. My attack puts them to 4. They go back to 11, which is really 9, which is really 7. I can force this out of play. They can just get another. I think I'm just doing this. I'm just going to swing this one. This puts my opponent to 2, again, which is really like 9 because of this Atraxa, which means that the Dauthi Voidwalkers on their own, plus the Sheoldred trigger, is 1 point short of lethal. That means that Ancient Tomb can't be tapped, at least as of the way things stand right now, and cantrips can't be cast. Yeah, weird. So there's the life swing. Okay. The Suvan Drifter. Okay. Another Dauthi Voidwalker. My opponent tapped Ancient Tomb, meaning that 2 Dauthi Voidwalker attacks plus a shouldered trigger is lethal now. Unless something wonky happens here, which it did not. That'll be just bam bam. Opponent goes to 1. I will cast a Dauthi Voidwalker. And shouldered has to be removed in upkeep with can't be Otawara. I wonder if my opponent had a win if they just don't play this. Like, life's still bad, don't get me wrong, but I wonder if they had a win. Alright, I am interested in more edicts here. Snuff Out doesn't necessarily kill the creatures that I want to kill. Pithing Needle's okay. Torpor Orb has some text for Atraxa. It's like still a problem card, but I don't know. I can consider some Wastelands. I can consider Turok. Sort of a weird matchup. I don't know that I'm excited about the One Ring. It's fine. I think I'm going to cut those because I want to keep my Helm combo. It's an easy way to steal wins off of Show and Tell. Turok feels slow. Orcish Bowmasters feels kind of medium. Maybe I'm crazy for saying that. Maybe I don't do those. This is 62. Yeah, I kind of want to trim some Bowmasters. Maybe it's Opposition Agent on the draw. Maybe it's all of those on the draw. Play the Turok. Play 1 land. It's like really important for me to hit land drops. This is fine. It's gonna need some more stuff, but this is fine. Okay. Obviously, I will Thoughtseize. What are we doing? Are we warping? Oh, we're island cycling. Neat. Whoa. Okay. I don't care about Hazaret. That's old tech. I think I take the Brainstorm and leave them with Omniscience and Emrakul. It only does something if they get a Show and Tell. I don't know, there is also just Show and Tell. Or like sneak attack and lands and such. I'm gonna take Brainstorm. Yeah, that was not what I was expecting that hand over there to look like, though. Alright. We'll go ahead and go land and pass. My opponent has a Kozilek's Return, which is going to just evenly trade with Orcish Bowmasters while dealing 1 damage to them. I'm good with that. Alright. Send them on in. Okay, cool. I think I play Ancient Tomb here. This gives me the possibility of double Edict in case things get a little saucy. We're just gonna chill. See how much chip damage I can get off of these 2 bodies before my opponent feels the need to Kozilek's Return. Not yet. My opponent tapped and untapped their lands and then thought better of it. They may think that I have more flash creatures. They have discarded the Hazaret. Dark Ritual is not what I am looking for. But I am getting so much more damage off of these creatures than I expected to, honestly. Alright, that is a sneak attack. We have that very easily covered. That's fine. Assuming Emrakul is the only creature. It gets hairier if there's an Atraxa. Alright. Send them. Opponent's at 7. There's the activation. You know Emrakul is here. Move to the beginning of combat. Sacrifice a non-token creature. Alright, that's Force of Will pitching the Omniscience, which is fine. And now we'll follow up with Sudden Edict, which is not counterable. Nice. Hopefully there's not a second Emrakul. There is not. Good shit. Alright, we're going to continue attacking. Note that Sneak Attack can be activated to put in something and block one of these creatures, or Kozilek's Return can happen. And it does. Okay. We've unfortunately flooded out in the second half of this game here. So I don't know how good my chances are. Yikes. I'm going to hold that. I think my opponent is quite favored to win now. Oh my god. F. Yeah. There's a secondary thing. 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, I am dead. I fully just flooded out there. That's unfortunate. And I think any other threat and in, the last like 6 cards gets me there. But Bowmasters was the only thing we saw in the top 16. So I'm now on the play. I might need to go threat heavier on the play. Like, the extra threats are just going to eat it to Kozilek's return. Like, opposition agents are better on the play when I can play them on turn 1 or turn 2 before my opponent has any chance to fetch. Just 13 creatures plus Helm. I'm going to board down the Wasteland and hit opposition agent here. And become threat denser. No land? Mulligan? This is fine. It's not better than fine, it's just fine. We're gonna get rid of 1 Dark Ritual. Put a Leyline into play. I'm going to drop a land and then play Dark Ritual in my opponent's upkeep to cast Opposition Agent. I am fine telegraphing this card. I just don't want my opponent to have any opportunity to go and fetch. Fury? Okay. Pitching a Fury as well. Opponent is teched out for creatures, apparently. Was not really something I was expecting to have to play around. I guess don't Veil of Summer me too, because that would be fucking savage. Come on. Note that I really do need to play that there, because, like, this is also... Or, no, this one is each opponent. Okay, well, that's horrifying. We will just edict that. Sacrifice a non-token creature. Alright, it's gone. I am definitely scared. Like, I am on the wrong side of this matchup right now. My opponent has a bunch of cards in hand. I have 0 gas, I have 0 pressure, no real hate piece in play. Ooh, looks like my opponent has a show and tell as well. Rough. Oh, no, it's just straight up another cantrip. That's fine. That's so much better than what I was expecting. Cool. Okay, there's a pedal. Now we show and telling? No. I'll hold the opposition agent this time. Sure. I guess I just put this into play rather than cast it. Yeah. So they're getting goodies. They're going to get both Sneak Attack and Emrakul, which I'm in very bad shape against. Also, just Lorien revealed his Ancestral at this point in the game. So I can Sudden Edict the Atraxa out of play, but then I'm basically just dead to Emrakul. I mean, I'll do the thing. But this is pretty brutal. We didn't have one of those hands where I just start with a Leyline in play and then just have a Helm in hand so that when my opponent show and tells, I just get them. This was not the game for that. So I eat 15, lose all my shit. And then there's basically no way that I'm going to win this game. I know my opponent has a draw 3 in hand, plus they have a bunch of cantrips. Even just a Vesuvian Drifter attacking 3 turns in a row is probably going to be good enough to beat me. But I guess make them have it, you know? Sure. Okay. That is death. I will concede. GG. I've kept my opening hand here, which has both pieces of the Leyline Helm combo in hand. And we're potentially playing against Delver again. If so, we've got a pretty respectable opener. We can use Thoughtseize and Orcish Bowmasters to take out some initial nonsense. Okay. So Force of Will is basically the only card that I care about of these. I just need Helm to end up resolving, and assuming that that happens, like, we're good. I don't care that my Orcish Bowmasters is going to get bolted. Is not that big of a deal. And they showed me a land that they didn't just show me. Dauthi Voidwalker gets bolted instead. Nah, I'm gonna play Orcish Bowmasters when/if they cast Brainstorm. I love this. I can just feel the pain as they think about whether or not they have to cast this Brainstorm. Hey, there it is. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to ping them for 1 point of damage, and then they get to decide whether or not they would like to Lightning Bolt Orcish Bowmasters in response, which does Brainstorm lock them. How you feeling? Yeah. Get bolted. Yep. And again, I'm good with all of these exchanges. Dragon Rage Channeler is no big deal. Land is no big deal. And again, that's a land that they did not show me before. I'm going to go ahead and offer tradesies here. Opponent does not like my tradesies. And I am going to cast this into a daze. The upside of this resolving is that I just basically win the game. Alright, cool. Opponent yep. They'll probably end up sideboarding somewhat similarly to before, where I bring in a bunch of extra removal spells. I don't think I want Deluge. I think I did 7 pieces of discard out before. This is 8 cards. What did I do from there? Did I go down an opposition agent? I mean, I guess technically this is a different build, right? Going down an opposition agent or going down 1 copy of the One Ring seems reasonable. Like, the One Ring is worse versus Daze, but, like, opposition agent isn't super exciting here. I have removal. I have an early play. I have 5 lands, which is good in this matchup in that, like, I do repeatedly want to make land drops. Is this fine? A Leyline hand is significantly stronger than this, like, by a lot. An opposition agent is not a card that I'm thrilled about. I'm going to ship this one. This is strong. I think I keep 3 lands here and 3 business spells. Not the Leyline hand that I was looking for, but I think this is a much more balanced hand. Good old Bobble. There's Bobble targeting themselves so they can figure out what to do with a fetch land. Alright, good stuff. Take your card. We're just going to make some land drops and pass. I'll probably end up playing Sudden Edict prior to Sheoldred's Edict, so that the Sudden Edict is dazeable, and then after that I am playing around daze from there. But we'll kind of see how it goes down. Interesting choice to play Underground Sea prior to Pondering. Maybe they are specifically looking for Dragon Rage Channeler, or are always intending on playing Dragon Rage Channeler. Nope. At least not one of those. All right. Swamp. Oh, we have an end of turn pause here. My opponent has a Brainstorm and is not casting it. Your wasteland does nothing here. I will make land drops forever. Bold. This is probably setting up a Murktide Regent, and my opponent's not going to have a good time with that. Results. So I think I just Sheoldred's Edict to bait a removal spell here. Sacrifice a non-token creature. Get out. And, like, with the One Ring in hand, I would be so happy eating a Force of Will here when I can just, like, otherwise remove this creature. Pitching Delver. We're good with that. Swamp. We will just not take 5 to Murktide Regent here. And then next turn I have the One Ring around Daze. It will walk into Force of Negation, though. Hold up, Bowboy? Maybe a turn where I just, like, cast a Plague Engineer and hold up Bowboy. Like, do this. Probably put it on, like, Orc. Last turn. Be good with this getting Lightning Bolted. And I'm not going to play this end of turn. Ooh. I like that a lot. I'm going to wasteland the red source here and shut off exile artifact spell thingy, whose name I am forgetting. Cast into the fire. Alright, opponent goes to 16. Do I One Ring? I think I One Ring. Because, like, if my opponent has Force of Negation, this requires a 2-for-1 that is not in their favor. Bah. we're resolving. Draw my card. Maybe not what I'm looking for, but it's fine. Null Rod sucks. Okay. I mean, I'm bad at getting rid of that. Maybe unable to get rid of that. Sure. Alright. I'm going to hit my opponent for 2 and I think hold up Orcish Bowmasters. You're at 14. They've either got a Lightning Bolt or a Brainstorm. I'm just not sure which one. Gonna hold the Bowmasters. I'd like to force the Lightning Bolt on Plague Engineer if it is indeed a Lightning Bolt. Alright. Hit for 2. Oh, that's fine. 3 card types in Graveyard. Now that Bowmasters has a valid target, I am going to go ahead and just cast it. We're in play. Trigger. There's already an instant and a land in there. Pyrokinesis. So they're going to try to surveil another card type into the graveyard. I wonder if that's greedy. I wonder if you're supposed to just let it die and also take out the Orc token as well. Gone. It feels kind of greedy from my end. But like maybe they're in a situation where they do need to just be kind of greedy. Attack for 1. And I've got Opposition Agent. I'll just fire that off end of turn in all likelihood, rather than waiting on it. Yaw. Got a decent amount of damage available here. Note that opposing Bowmasters are live now, but I think I'm in the situation where I just turn both of these sideways without really thinking about it. Sure. Alright, opponent takes 1 there. Only getting 1 activation out of this 1 ring was brutal. Alright. Just continue to slowly bleed. Great. I think this game is close enough that I just fire off here. Alright, send it at your face. Just lower yield life total a bit more. What's going on over there? Is it just like dazes and spell pierces that just have no real target? Alright. Down to 4. I think I play it. It walks further into another Pyrokinesis, I guess. Well, maybe not further in, differently in, because it's 4 damage. You know, I won, but I don't really feel good about it. Okay. I don't think I'm excited about this hand. Let's mulligan. I need more mana, but these are some fucking cards. I think I keep this pitching 1 Thoughtseize. It just doesn't work out with the curve super well. And I think I'd rather have a 1 ring for late game than the possibility of like turn 3 Bowmaster and Thoughtseize. Alright. Let's see what's up. Alright, so probably something of the like Shadow Persuasion. If I take Daze, I can just him my opponent next turn safely. If I take Fatal Push, Bowmasters is more likely to do things, but I think we're just interested in taking the Daze. Alright. That was not in their hand a second ago, so they showed me a new card. Unsure whether or not that's a mistake. Dark Ritual. That's a weird draw. If I Dark Ritual and Hymn to Turok hits Fatal Push, I can stick Orcish Bowmasters this turn. I kind of just want to shove the 1 ring, though. Like, I know 5 of my opponent's 6 cards. Let's go. This is a long pause. I don't like this pause. Yet here I go anyway. God damn it. The 1 unknown card. Hopefully this sets my opponent back quite a bit anyway, though. Like, the land going back to their hand is no joke at this stage of the game. Pips are kind of wrong here in terms of double spelling. Okay, hell yeah, we took the Fatal Push, which means that my Bowmasters can actually just do shit. Okay. Helm. I think no thanks on that. I think I'm just going to play Bowmasters in my opponent's upkeep. I know a good chunk of their cards right now. I'm just going to fire this off. I think, like, given that this isn't black, it's, like, potentially, or sorry, that it is black, it doesn't die to snuff out, and I think I just want to start attacking with this creature as of next turn. Sure. See if they have their own bowmasters. They don't. I'm just going to hold the second one here. And I will shove this into play now. I don't care if this eats a daze at this stage of the game. Drown in the lock, sure. Like, Helm was a bait spell so that I could potentially stick a second Bowmasters. That's fine. We're hoping to dodge, like, oh, Mystic Sanctuary, sure. Mystic Sanctuary is a little weird with basic Swamp in play, though. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Do I Bowmasters again now? Kind of feels like my opponent's on empty. I'm going to Bowmaster again. It sucks if I do this and, like, they have the Bowmaster after I do, but the cumulative damage does matter. Okay. So I sacrifice a non-token creature. So they can brainstorm in response here. Okay, Swamp Cycle instead. That's fine. Ping you. Okay. Yeah. So my opponent could stabilize the board with a Reanimate. It is an Orcish Bowmasters, so they can ping my Bowmasters. See where this ends up going. Do I attack and trade to clear the board? Doesn't really feel like it. Like, some portion of the time, I just draw a removal spell and go wild. Okay. So that Grief is not actually going to take a card. It doesn't take lands. But now it's harder to just press through. Hardcast Force of Will is live. I think I just play this in combat. I can effectively trade Opposition Agent for Grief if my opponent attacks with it. This opens me up to Force of Will. Just hardcast Force of Will. Okay, this is a card I did not want to see. I think I give them Force of Will face up versus... Okay, so they took Brainstorm and 2 lands. Sure, that's fine. They have a Ring Bearer now, which is relevant in this exact board state, honestly. Do I take 3 and then just attack them back? Like, am I likely enough to draw creatures? Like, am I more likely to draw creatures than them? Maybe. Yeah, I think I'm not going to block, actually. I think I've changed my mind after seeing how things progress. I do kind of need something live off the top, though. Sure. I don't even think you wasteland. So I'm going to go ahead and go aggro here. It's quite bad if my opponent has an Orcish Bowmasters, though. Okay. They go to 8. I'm going to hold this card in hand so they don't know I have a blank. I'm facing down 5 damage this turn. I'm on a 3-turn clock. If they have Murktide, though, things are bad. They have a Murktide. I think I'm going to eat it to that. So I take 6. Sorry, I take 5. 8 in the air kills me. Rats. GG. So I would like the Edicts. Snuff Out is very important versus Murktide, but doesn't do anything versus the black threats. We'll see kind of how I feel about that in a minute. Plague Engineer is fine versus Orcish Bowmasters. I think, again, I'm not just like the biggest fan of the discard spells versus decks that can just outgrind me endgame with things like Mystic Sanctuary, what is it, Lothrane, Revealed, Spelling, question mark. Sauron's Ransom, if I didn't already say that. I think we're going these out, removal spells in, maybe a wasteland in, more as mana sources than anything else. We got savaged by that one Daze play. I still think it makes sense to jam the ring there. Like, there's one unknown card most of the time. It's a force effect if my opponent stops it, because 1 daze was already used. So it's a 2-for-1. Or rather, it's an even trade because I use Dark Ritual. I go the like Helm Bowmaster's route, there's a good portion of the time where that's just not good. Go down 1 opposition agent, I think. I'm not the biggest fan of this. This just does so much damage to me over the course of a game. Like, it is a reasonable mix of mana and spells, but I probably take 10 off Ancient Tomb this game, and I don't think I want to play like that if possible. This is much stronger. I will keep this one. Probably pitching 1 copy of the One Ring. Okay, I had to step away from the computer for a minute. Yep, keeping this hand, pitching 1 copy of the One Ring. Let's start the game with a Leyline in play. Swamp pass. I could play Dauthi Voidwalker on this turn. Do a lot of things on this turn, actually. I think I just play Dauthi Voidwalker. I don't care if it gets dazed, like it is not an important card. If my opponent dazes this next turn, I can like wasteland them, then Dark Ritual the One Ring. Oh wow, we're getting a Force of Will for this. Deal. Pitching Brazen Borrower. I guess it's a little awkward if my opponent immediately has Orcish Bowmasters, huh? That is a shuffle and a wasteland. Understood. So, I am going to shut off Daze here in this capacity. Dark Ritual. The One Ring. Not dazable. Could be forcible with a second force. Which unfortunately is happening. Hopefully we've taken off my opponent off of at least one of their... Never mind. That just gets them an Underground Sea and gets them out of this situation. Stupid cantripping wasteland. Alright. We're chilling. My opponent's graveyard is not currently functional, but I just have nothing going on. They've 2-for-1 themselves twice. I think I took 1 mulligan, so I'm behind a card anyway. Reanimate. Yes. And this is one of the things I hate about like playing a Leyline deck, is that like your Leyline doesn't actually fully stop Reanimates. It is just a hindrance. And like when you play both Leyline and Dauthi Voidwalker doesn't get to do hot girl Dauthi Voidwalker stuff. Fuck. Let's see. Yeah, so... I guess I'm losing the life here. I just can't give my opponent cards. Alright. Eat a daze. Again, nothing's here. Once I have a Shouldered in play, you can draw cards. I will be good with that. We gonna trade these? No, we are not. Alright. I'm at 15 from the attack. You get to scry. You do not get cards. I will take some damage. It's a Drown in the Lock and a Force. Okay, cool. Yeah, I might have to let my opponent draw cards next turn. Otherwise, I threaten to be dead before I can do cool things with this. Like, my opponent is pulling ahead off the Palantir. Alright. And I got so savaged by Wasteland in the Underground Sea after my opponent had Lorien revealed. You may draw a card. Alright, that is fantastic. Hit you for 3. I'll put you to 7. I'm going to cast a Sholdred. If this resolves, it's very good. If it doesn't resolve, it's bait so that I can draw a land, play Helm, activate Helm next turn. And it's in play. Fatal Push could be a thing, though, for example. Petty Theft, sure. That feels kind of like a mistake, right? Like, you just cast the Brazen Borrower's top end, right? Fuck, that's savage. Like, if you do the top end of Brazen Borrower, I never outrace you. Sure. You may draw your card. Another Dauthi Voidwalker. And then, what's that, 4? I mean, show me another answer to this. Like, you could have drawn a Daze or a Force. Okay. Okay, frustrating, but it is what it is. But my opponent is currently going to have to hold back Dauthi Voidwalker to block. Okay, sure. Okay, so they're going to cast Sheoldred. So if they draw a card, they go to 5 life. So, oh fuck. God damn it. I was going to have a really cool line. I don't have it anymore. So they're at 9 when that stack clears. How am I winning now? Edicting the Sheoldred? I need to draw an Edict, Edict the Sheoldred. Dauthi Voidwalker is exactly lethal. So I have to give you a card, because otherwise I just die too much of the time. Alright, this. I can't give the card. Nothing matters unless I draw an Edict. Alright, so that puts me to 2. My Dauthi Voidwalker doesn't work. I am dead on board to the Sheoldred attack, or dead on board to the Sheoldred trigger. That's unfortunate. I think my opponent punted that one pretty hard, but I couldn't capitalize on it. I don't want to call it a top deck null rod because they got like scries for it, but that shutting off a card that like was in my hand and not in play was particularly brutal. All right, so how do we feel about this build? Not great, honestly. Like 14 4-drops in the deck without like Chrome Mox or Lotus Petals support was just resulting in so many of my cards getting stranded in hand, and I was just sideboarding in the Wastelands, not to use as Wastelands, but just as like cards that were worse than Swamp for the most part. So I think this one is just a little bit too top heavy for my liking, and I think I would rather revisit a build that looks like this with Leylines and Helms once Throne of Eldraine releases. Like, once that set comes out, we are going to have Beseech the Mirror, which can serve as additional copies of both Helm of Obedience and Leyline of the Void, and that could add consistency to the combo. But I think today I didn't actually ever activate Helm, at least not like in the combo sense. I think maybe I did once, but for the most part I was just like picking opponents to death with Orcish Bowmasters and winning games off Leyline of the Void. So I don't know that this build is where I want to be with this deck list. Like, I totally want to revisit Leyline Helm once Beseech the Mirror comes out, but at least this build that has Leyline and Helm and Sheoldred and the One Ring is a lot all at the one time. Like, maybe you can take out like one portion of this or the other for the like Grief Reanimate scam package, and maybe that does good work. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below, and if you end up wanting to pick up any cards for this or another deck, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. Folks, I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!